They're in pain not because of alcoholism. They're in pain because their sponsor has berated them. They're in pain because they're told they're not humble when they are probably the humblest person in that room. They are in pain because they just want a friend. They don't want to go to the group coffee. They just want to make a friend. Maybe that's not your group. Maybe that's not your people. Don't force a round peg in a square hole kind of situation. Yeah, maybe that's not where you belong. And
Hello and welcome to the Sobriety Bestie podcast. I'm super excited you're here today for a great episode with Teri. Teri found me on the internet through my deconstructing AA content. She became a student in my deprogram course. Then we became email pals back and forth conversating. And I'm so excited that now you get to hear a bit of Teri's story. And I just feel so excited to have you here, especially after getting to know you during your deprogramming journey. So, welcome. And also, I would like to just kick it off by saying, about how long were you in AA and when did you leave?
I was in AA about 3-ish years. And I left, my goodness, I'm not sure that that's a question that can be answered because I'm still leaving. I'm still in the process of leaving. Now, I officially stopped going to meetings less than a year ago. I would say maybe springtime. And you can correct me, it was whenever I first contacted you. But yeah, I think it was around springtime of 2025. And it's been a journey. And it's still a journey, and I'm still evolving and moving forward. But it was interesting because when you leave, there's no safety net. You just kind of it's a trust fall into your, for me it was a trust fall into my higher self. It was a trust fall into my angels and ancestors, as you will. And I'll try not to get too woo woo, but you know me well enough to know where I'm going to go there. So yeah, it was complete not knowing what was going to happen. And I immediately looked online, and I first I found an ashram to go to that had a course on finding my purpose in life, because in AA it's so important, right, to have a purpose. I had sponsors that would tell me that, well, my purpose in life was to give back to AA what they gave to me. And apparently that was a lifetime membership deal. Some small print that I overlooked at the time, but was grateful to give at the time as well. I mean, it's that craziness of, um, we come to AA so desperate and so in need that we're willing to sign anything. We're willing to consent to anything. We're willing to do anything for a solution to our issue, right, to our problem, to deal with the pain. And I was in so much pain. And yeah, so when I left, it was difficult and it was hard. And I decided that I wanted to find a spiritual path, and that I wanted to find a purpose that was more about me and my future, and less about my alcoholism or the future of AA. And that sounds so taboo, right? That's so self-centered, right? That's so, oh my goodness, I need to go help someone and make a phone call right now. But you learn over time that is one of the flaws in Alcoholics Anonymous, is the idea that self-care isn't group care. The better I take care of myself, the better I can be of assistance to you. So I take a look at that. But I also found your website. And when I found your website, I think I was at the ashram when I decided, okay, well, I'm gonna kind of dabble, stick my toe in, see what she's doing, but she can't know it's me. It's got to be covert, because God knows, what if she's connected to my group, right? What if she knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody? So I was like, false name, false picture, and then I jumped out. I subscribed, and then I unsubscribed, and then I contacted you, and we were doing this dance of, how can I be so afraid and still try deprogramming. And at the same time, if you really want to take a look at it, I left heartbroken. I was waiting for somebody to call me and say, "Come back. We do care about you. You took it all wrong. Everything we said, you misunderstood. Please." And of course, that day didn't come. Um, but I had to grow through that. And I didn't have a place to go through it because you can't be anti AA. You can't say anything against Alcoholics Anonymous, even if it's your life experience, because even people who don't understand the experience will look at you and question you on, well, do you think it's really, you aren't drinking, you don't drink anymore, didn't it work for you? Like, do you think it's really a good idea to disparage Alcoholics Anonymous? What if somebody hears you? What if somebody chooses not to go to Alcoholics Anonymous and you're responsible for what they do next? And I thought, wow, this is taking me back to my Mormon roots. This is taking me back a long way. And I'm just jumping around, but work with me here. Uh, Growing up in the Mormon church, I survived a lot of sexual abuse. And we were often told as women in the Mormon church, and not all of us were abused, but many of us were. And I would say in the world, right? Um, we were told that the priesthood was sacred and that you were to protect the priesthood holders. And that was men only. And at the time, the priesthood holder that was abusing me, this was not somebody that I could do anything but be respectful of, because as a priesthood holder, men are seen in the church as above women. We'll just put it that way. And so I kept their secret. And even after that person passed, when I attempted to tell somebody, they died. And when I attempted to tell somebody that these things had happened to me for years and years, I was told that I was desecrating their life and their death by even mentioning it. Like, why mention it now? They're gone. Um, and so that when I was excommunicated from the Mormon Church, and I was young, I was like, early 20s, and that feeling of being shunned from my church, my family, my friends, all came back to me when I left Alcoholics Anonymous. And then again, somebody stepped up and said, why, don't say, it's okay to leave Alcoholics Anonymous, but don't say anything bad about it, because there are so many people that can be helped. Like I was helped. And, it's funny, real life is messy, right? I was helped. I did gain a lot of perspective and understanding and life lessons life is messy. We learn something from everything we go through with other human beings, right? And be it good or bad, we still learn. And not all my experiences in AA were bad. I had some wonderful, wonderful experiences. I gained a lot of joy, but there was also a lot of heartache, and a lot of emotional damage, and a lot of betrayal and gaslighting. And these are the things that, just because I point out these things, just because I speak my truth, doesn't take away 1 ounce of the joy and the good that it brought into my life. Um, but it does seem to take away the sting of every time, and let's hope this is the last time I have to learn this karmic lesson of joining cults. Um, each time it takes a little bit away from having to be quiet to lift somebody else up. I have to be held down. And I choose those words purposefully, because that's what it feels like. It feels like I have to raise you up, and I have to be underneath. And I don't want to do that anymore. And when I came to your site, I disagreed with a lot of things you had to share. And that's why our emails were relentless. They went on and on and on. And I thought, wow, where is this woman coming from? What is she doing? I even warned you. I said, you cannot do this in public and online. You need to reel it in, girl. And, and I was afraid for you. And I thought, wow, I can't. But the one thing, the reason that I stuck around was you heard me out. I mean, we have the most wonderful groups on Sober Besties that just are amazing. Where none of us, we are all so different, coming from such different vibes and such different ideas of leaving AA and carrying on with our lives and being our best selves. Just like I hope people who are happy in Alcoholics Anonymous continue and enjoy and get out of it what it gives to them. I love that for them. And for me, it it wasn't a good experience. And I love that I have a place now where I can speak my truth even when it's not in agreement with the group think. And usually it's not. And you hold space for that. You let each of us speak our truth. And and that was empowering for me because I couldn't even speak when I came to your site. I didn't want to tell anyone anything, much less be caught. What if somebody hears me? What if somebody knows it's me? What if I'm doing wrong? What if, right? That last one, what if I got it wrong and they all really did care about me? What if I got it wrong and Alcoholics Anonymous was my tribe, right? What if all of those what ifs just play and play because I was brainwashed, I was conditioned, I was trained. You got to keep going those meetings. You got to keep going because you're going to keep getting that conditioning, that training, that built-in that built-in check, of ooh, is your light shining too bright? We need to bring that down. Ooh, that email's a little long, Teri. Can you cut that down a bit? Maybe you could just text. Oh, sure, I can give you 3 pages of text. It was, oh, Teri, you're just being a little too much, Teri. Could you just be a little more group and a little less autonomous? And I couldn't. I couldn't. And so, it was one thing to be triggering to the norm, to the larger crowd in Alcoholics Anonymous groups. It's another thing to be triggering to the secret societies within the cult group. And I was triggering to the secret societies as well. And I would be remiss not to mention them because they do exist. We'll call them clubs. There are clubs within.
Are you talking about the cults
Yes.
within the cult?
I'm
I'll just say what some of us are
Yes,
going to
the
be
cult
thinking.
within the cult. Some people call it that high school cafeteria table, and that's the light cult within the cult. And then there's the dark cult within the cult, and that's what I had the privilege of running into. And that's where it gets really tricky because there's the wink wink and the hey Teri, we're very loyal in this group. And you might be in this group, but you cannot cross the red velvet rope until you're in this group. And of course, me, I'm clueless. I'm just kind of like, oh, I'm in a group. How cool is that? And not realizing that I was in a very dark, dark situation. And, again, I think I was protected and watched over and carried through that situation and out. And I'm happy to be out because I think there are a lot of people like myself looking for my tribe in Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm looking for my community, right? My friends. And th- they aren't there. They aren't in Alcoholics Anonymous, but I kept looking and I kept asking, where are my people? Where are my people? And, you know, at one point they'd say, "We're your people." And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, no, I'm not even, yeah, that's not, we're not vibing. That's not true." And then I would think, well, my people are here, but they're so busy dimming their lights, right? You know, any light workers in the room, their light is so dim, I can't find them. Um, because we're all trying to be one of many, because that's what we're called to be, right? One of many in Alcoholics Anonymous. Um, it's interesting because when you think about sponsorship, I'll just pull that out of the air. You think about sponsorship. Our sponsors arrived at Alcoholics Anonymous equally as wounded as we arrived, in their own way, but equally as wounded. And I don't know, I'm just going to put it out there. I don't think just because you're called a sponsor that you're a professional at directing every decision and choice I make for my life. And I understand that you feel like it was bestowed upon you by God, source, higher power, whatever, insert whatever word you want to put in there. What is it? Doorknob. But
It's a
there
doorknob
you
of
go,
your
a doorknob of
understanding.
your understanding. I love it. So yeah, I mean, insert whatever you need to, but honestly, this is me. This is my path. This is my life. Who better? You know, they always say your best thinking got you here. Yes, my best thinking got me to AA. Hooray for me, right? Like, it got me there. It got me somewhere to work on my sobriety. Wow, my best thinking's not so bad after all. My best thinking also got me out of there. And I'm not lost on that. So I'm fine with my best thinking. It continues to serve me best. I get that, you know, we all have to evolve and grow and deal with things, but I'm good with my best thinking. I don't need another wounded soul's best thinking to do my thinking for me. Wow, that was a mouthful. Save me from myself, Kirsten.
Yeah. I mean, that's so powerful. You just said so much. Like in the beginning of what you said, I heard you talk about how the guilt, the control through guilt was happening when you were leaving AA or even thinking about talking about AA like today. Like that mirrored what you experienced in your childhood in the Mormon church, and how yeah, all through sponsorships, outsourcing your life and your thinking to a sponsor is essentially your higher power in a lot of ways, and how that obviously doesn't work for you. How your best thinking got you here outside of AA. And I just love witnessing your evolution. And I really feel like with you specifically, I've got to experience, like, witness a lot of your evolution over these past several months, like maybe even 6 months or so. And I've just seen you grow. And what I really appreciate about you is your willingness to, and rightfully so, it's a very triggering process to leave Alcoholics Anonymous because we're quite literally evaluating all of these belief systems that were implanted into us without consent, really. And as you've been triggered or fearful or any of the emotions that all of us pretty much feel when we leave AA, you've continually come back to yourself through your spiritual practices, your journaling, your meditation, whatever it is. You've taken time to really evaluate what's true for you. And then you've come and you've communicated me again with your next evolution. I've seen you say, I'm upset about this thing. And then you've taken space. And then you've come back and you've said, here is who I am now. And I've just seen you like grow and grow and grow and grow. And it's honestly, it's been such a delight to witness. And just to, you know, if you needed to take some time apart from even the idea of deprogramming, and then you go on your way and then you come back. And I love it. I love that I love that what it feels like I'm witnessing is that you are trusting yourself and you are thinking critically and you are waking up in your own way, at your own pace, with the resources that feel right for you. And that just, to me, it feels like such a tremendous joy to witness. Thank you for sharing your journey with me, is what I'm trying to say, I guess, if I'm going to bottom line it. If I don't cry beforehand.
That's all right. I got the tissue ready. I knew we were going to cry. But yeah, thank you. I honestly, I could not have found my voice. And notice I'm saying found my voice and not open my chakra, my throat chakra, which is what I want to say. But no, I wouldn't have been able to.
Hey, woo woo, if that's you, if you are a woo woo, woo woo it up, man. Be yourself. Because you're going to be for the people that are for you. Just let Teri free.
I love it. But yeah, I wouldn't have found my courage had you not role modeled what the courage looked like. It looks like. It blows my mind when I read the comments, and don't get me started. But when I read the horrific comments from people who I know are just wounded, they're just wounded like you and me and the rest of the human beings on this planet. We're all doing the best we can, but can we lighten up on one another, you know? And uh, when I hear what they say to you, I'm just, I'm like, oh my God, she's taking these hits for me because I couldn't speak my truth. I couldn't. And it took me a while to realize that the sky wasn't going to fall. It was going to be okay. That that was an illusion. The idea that that was my family, my friends, my community, it was all made up. It was all an illusion. I walked into a room starving for love, and I'm telling you, there were people there saying I love you. On In that first moment, that meant so much to me, and I'm so grateful because some genuinely were just trying to ease my pain. But now, when Alcoholics Anonymous calls upon me to stick with them and give them my life when I have healed, but clearly my healing is dangerous within the community because as you heal, the program is no longer as essential to the next step. And if the program's going to work, if I keep working it, then I can't ever progress, right? I can't evolve. I can't get better. And so you find yourself kind of stuck, frozen in time if you want to stay in AA. And if you want to leave AA, you find yourself alone. And I came to AA, I got the help I needed, and I left AA. Thank you, AA, for the life lessons received. I am the happiest I've ever been. I have a wonderful soul tribe. I have a great community. I have fantastic friends. But yeah, I wouldn't trade the trial by fire, just all the hurt and pain brought me to who I am today. So I am grateful for that. And I'm here. I mean, my sole intention of doing this with you, and I think I told you in the beginning, was to speak to the people who are in AA that are hurting, not the people who are doing well. If you're doing great in AA, congratulations, carry on. But if you're like me and you felt rejected, you felt unloved, you felt invalidated, you felt like you could do nothing right, that you were constantly being told you're not humble, you know, you're not good enough, right? You're not alcoholic enough, you're not downtrodden enough, you're not, there's a million of them out there. I couldn't be what each one needed me to be, and God help me, I triggered a lot of people because I showed up as authentically me as I could at that time. And I want to talk to that person. I want to talk to that man or woman and say, trust your best thinking. Take that trust ball. Find something else. But deprogram. Get out of a place where you don't feel loved, appreciated, validated. Because I'm telling you, all of that, and here we go, woo woo report, woo woo warning. It's all within, and you can find it. And I'm not saying you have to go to an ashram. I'm not saying you have to, join us at Sober Besties, although I'm going to tell you it's awesome. But I am going to say that you have to ultimately find everything you're looking for outside of yourself, within yourself. And you better save me from myself, Kirsten, because then I'm going to start launching into some kind of spiritual woo-wooism.
I'm here for it. I'm totally here for it. I think all of whatever's true for you is what I think is the most helpful to share. And I always say for myself, like a motto is authenticity is the medicine. It's the medicine for me, but I also know it's the medicine for others. When I can be authentic, I know it is of service in a way for others, but it's also for me. And so, whatever the truth is, that's what liberates, that's what heals, that's what helps us evolve. So, whoever we are, it's like be that, be more of that, especially with the trauma of coming out of a group think, or in your case, two group thinks, right? And I understand why you were hesitant to join my group and to even interact with me and email with me, because there's a lot of betrayal that happens to us when we're inside coercive control systems like Alcoholics Anonymous, where our trust is abused and we feel betrayed. I felt betrayed. And so, and even though like my sponsor had good intentions, I would guess, she was leading me astray because she was leading me to betray myself, to not trust my thoughts, to not trust my intuition, and to do what the group does and to abandon myself. And I'm like you, I've had a childhood sexual abuse, unfortunately, as well. And so I wasn't like Bill Wilson in that I needed my ego to be knocked down a couple of pegs so that I could be right sized and all of that. I was more the person who abandoned myself already and assumed everybody else was right and I was wrong. I needed to be lifted up, not pushed down. So AA really wasn't helpful for me in that sense. And so the leaving AA and feeling like you don't know who to trust and you don't even want to join a group, or you don't even know if you can trust that the group is safe, or you don't even know that you can own your story or speak your truth. I get that. That's how I was. Except I stayed silent for 5 years to the day, to the day. So the fact that you left this year at the beginning of the year in spring, and that you're already feeling like right now is the first time ever you're really letting yourself like express yourself as far as doing this podcast, I think that you're tremendously courageous. And like, I really honor that, and for me, it's been incredibly liberating to realize that I get to speak my truth and that no oppressive system gets to own my story, and that I get to share my truth, and that I'm not responsible for what anybody else does if I just live my truth. I'm not responsible for them. If somebody hears me and doesn't go to AA or leaves AA, that is not on me. That is their journey. In fact, I couldn't hear somebody who was saying that they left AA when I was in AA because I wasn't even tuned into it. I was not doing outside things, outside literature. So I no longer feel the martyr complex which AA put in me, where I'm responsible for other people's journey. I can't get anybody sober. I can't keep anybody sober. I can't make anybody join AA or leave AA. I can be myself. And so when I hear you and I'm witnessing you right now being so courageous by actually, showing up, especially witnessing you over the past several months, coming and going from my community, and going from, did you have a Snoopy picture at first?
I think I did have a dog picture first. Yeah, I was trying to,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going from cartoon and fake name to coming back and going and coming back and being your full name and your full photo now. And anybody who joins my group, they can be anonymous. But for you showing up and watching you evolve, and now you're here to speak it with video, a face and a name. It's just, not everybody needs to do this, and I would never encourage anybody to do it, but I'm damn sure and happy and proud and excited and exhilarated to witness you in your courage to just be yourself.
Oh, thank you, Kirsten. And I think you would have come full circle a lot sooner. I was going to say come out, but God, that's a whole nother episode. No, she's not coming out.
I came out of I was in AA and I left AA closet. It felt like I had gay friends come to me. It sounds like you're coming out. I'm like, I don't know what it feels like to come out as gay, but I'm coming out of the AA closet for sure.
Doing good. But no, Kirsten, you didn't have a Kirsten. You didn't have somebody to watch and to see And I have to tell you, I'm here because of you and your courage. It helped create courage for myself. It helped me go, wow, if she can do it, I can do it too. And I'm so grateful to you. I can't repay you except to say that I hope we can spare somebody the pain. And I know your story, and I know I I just don't think either one of us deserved what we went through. I was just thinking when we were talking about sponsors, and I don't know about your home group, but in my home group, it was always, you know, my sponsor had a sponsor who had a sponsor. And now I know what that means is you're going to tell me your deepest darkest secret, then I'm going to tell your deepest darkest secret to this woman who's going to tell then two friends that they know. What was that shampoo commercial? Yeah, and then I told two friends. And and I say that somewhat in jest, but it's true. It's true. And, sponsorship is one of those things where both you and I learned a very hard lesson. And that was we were vulnerable, we trusted without even really understanding what we were trusting in. And then in the middle of and I hope you're okay with me sharing this story, but in the middle of our groups, our sponsors shared something personal about each one of us publicly as entertainment, as to amuse the masses, right? And you and I talked about this, and I was just like, oh my God, that was such a those are those little nudges. Those are those little intuitive moments. Those nudges when I should have, like, I don't know, maybe gotten up and walked out of Alcoholics Anonymous, because that was a moment that said to me, this doesn't feel right. This, you know,
Right.
and and then that, and I don't know if this happened to you, but it happened to me. The whole patting on the leg and saying, "You didn't mind that I told that story, did you?" Like, well, it really doesn't matter at this point, does it? If I mind it or not, that you shared something personal for entertainment purposes.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, it's so horrific to be sitting in your home group and have your sponsor sharing your confessional to her at group level. It's a kind of betrayal that just like I froze like a deer in headlights. Like, oh my God, she's talking about me to the group. That was private. And I'm just like frozen. But I mean, it's so sad when I think about it. But it never occurred to me that I even had a right to even be like, to confront her. It never occurred to me to confront her. I just felt betrayed. But I didn't feel like I could say anything because I owed her my life, or I had to keep, she was helping me so much, or she was saving my life, or all of the cult dogma and doctrine kept me feeling like it was okay to be betrayed, and then therefore I can betray myself. And I relate so much to what you're saying, where it's like I sprayed the red flags green because I had to stay in the group, stay in the middle of the boat, stay in the ideology. So when people are doing things that are not okay, whether it's the 13th step stuff that's happening in my home group, or whether it's my sponsor speaking about me at group level, private things, or whatever it was, and you know what? Maybe I was that for somebody else because I wasn't innocent. I don't think I ever shared a secret at group level. I can't recall that I ever would, but I'm sure that I might have had a sponsee that had a red flag with something that I did too, and I was just doing what I thought we were supposed to do. I was
yeah,
obedient. I was obeying an
yeah.
ideology.
I don't think we're.
So, I have a lot of
Oh, go ahead.
empathy I have a lot of empathy for the people who feel guilty about their participation and what they might have created or participated in. And I have a lot of empathy for people who feel harmed by what happened in the rooms as well, whether it was directly from the ideology, the powerlessness, forever needing to recruit for the program and all of that. I love how you mentioned before, like a life sentence. It reminded me of like prison, right? I got a life sentence to AA. I just wanted to get sober. I got a life sentence to AA and like forced conversion, religious conversion.
Yeah, it's just it's crazy when you look back on it, but at the time when you're in the middle of it, and I'm guilty, there isn't one thing that I'm not guilty of being equally as human about, as far as the gossip or the betrayal or any of these things. It is it's a cesspool of that. And,
Yeah. The
yeah, it
culture.
is. It's the culture. And I'm not better than, but I'm not lesser than either. And the difference is that I've chosen to, I'm not going to say level up. That's where I wanted to go, but I've chosen to
Evolve.
evolve
Yeah.
and take a different route.
Yeah.
Let's call it that. And that's worked best for me. And if they're happy
Yeah.
in that situation, for me, I couldn't say anything when the entertainment was put out there of my information because it's not all about me. It might have helped somebody else, right? Or I'm being too sensitive. I need to not be so sensitive. I need to work on that. That's probably something I could inventory. So, there's always a pushback. Um,
It's like the self
yes,
gaslighting.
yes, I was trained to do that quite well. And yeah, undoing that is going to take a while. Yeah, it's a journey.
What's been the hardest part about leaving AA?
The hardest part about leaving AA has been that I've had to face some truths, not only about other people, but about myself. Um, Appreciating that I'm not for everybody. Um, that's
Mm-hmm.
always going to be the case, and that's okay. I don't have to be somebody that you love, like, enjoyed hearing talk, whatever the case may be. I don't have to be for everybody. Um, it's very, very hard to accept that I lived in illusion, that I had friends and family and a support system for those years. And I do not believe that that was a support system without a lot of parameters and expectations and limitations. I was expected to answer my phone, to show up. I would get called and I would say, yes, thank you for the opportunity, right? And go running. And yet, then I would get berated about, oh, I can't believe you called me after 9 o'clock at night. What are you doing, Teri? Go to your higher power. Don't come to me, right? And it was just an insane contradiction, nonstop contradiction. Part of leaving AA was accepting that it wasn't real, that the relationships were
Mm.
not real, that the relationships were dependent on my staying in AA. And at one point, I was no longer treating my alcoholism. That's not why I was going to meetings. I wasn't going to Alcoholics Anonymous to avoid going to the bar. I was going to Alcoholics Anonymous to feed my newest addiction, which was winning the love, acceptance, and approval of my home group, of my sponsor, of my friends, of these people that I wanted so much to be a part of. And that was not in the agenda. Um, because, again, that was the society within the society, the cult within the cult. But, regardless, I wasn't going to find my soul tribe in Alcoholics Anonymous. And I'm so grateful. They didn't show me where my tribe was, but they showed me where it wasn't. And I'm grateful for that because then I was able to go look elsewhere. And yeah, so that was good. So thank you, AA.
It sounds like you've created new connections since leaving AA, or you've poured more into connections you already had. And I'm wondering, for the people that are looking to build community right now or are feeling that tremendous loss and grief of losing what once felt like friendship within AA, what has helped you rejoin or create connections in your life post
So it
AA?
was really difficult at first. And at first, it was just being online. I made some connections online.
Mm.
You were one of them, where I was authentically myself and really, really kind of reached out and trusted the universe. I made some other friends through my spiritual endeavors. I kept taking courses. I kept taking classes. I kept just kind of exploring and getting to know and meeting different types of people that where AA was not the center of their world. You know,
Mm.
I had cut off so many people. And I had, you know, AA had even convinced me that my relationship of 28 years wasn't what it was. And because, you know, I live with someone who drinks and I choose not to drink, um, that was an issue that sometimes you'll find in Alcoholics Anonymous, a lot of people project their own issues on other people. And I was getting a lot of projection of other people's issues onto my relationship. So when I left AA, my relationship has just evolved and it's way more honest and clear because I no longer am having to deal with what Alcoholic Anonymous, how they judge, you know, a non-drinker living with a drinker, so to speak. So yes, I started off little breadcrumbs. I started off making some friends online and interacting with different types of people. And then in my spiritual community, that just kept growing. And now I have made some very wonderful, good friendships in my life that I wouldn't trade for the 200 phone numbers that I still have on my phone that I have no clue who is who. Quantity
Oh my
is not
God.
quality.
Totally. I still have all the AA numbers in my phone too. I labeled them all A dash. So in
Yeah,
my phone, when you open it up, it's A space. And then there's just like, these are all AAs all the way up. There's so
love it.
many. There's like
I love
so
it.
many. Because then it was like this idea that like I was going to have a panic and need to just go down and like dial for days of like numbers. And so they're all A. At first it was AA space something, but then you didn't want your phone to ring when you're in front of a normie and have AA on your phone, right? If you're
Right.
anonymous and out in the world, whatever. So it's all A space. And so I probably have hundreds and hundreds. And then because I might have like 10 Sarahs from
Right.
AA, then it's like Sarah
Uh-huh.
from this meeting, Sarah from this town, Sarah from this thing or whatever. I
I
it's
know, I know.
ridiculous.
And then I told you I was going on and on about how I haven't heard from anyone in the past. And then I heard from someone last night while I was preparing for this. And I was just blown away. And I thought, okay, universe, I get it. You're letting me know that there are there are genuinely good people involved in Alcoholics Anonymous who have the best wishes and the best of intentions in what they are doing, and I can I can hold space for them to continue doing what they do. I'm only asking for them to hold space to let me do what I'm doing in peace. And
Mm,
that seems to be a really hard thing to do is for them to let two things happen at once. And and I wish that were different, but it isn't. Um, but yeah, I just don't want anyone walking away from our time that you and I are talking. I don't want anyone to walk away and go, "Wow, if I leave AA, I have nothing." No, if you leave AA, you have
mm,
something. I guarantee you there is something. And if you stay in AA, then you have something. So that's fine too. But you don't have to be miserable. I mean, you don't. We all don't have to live in misery. We can all follow our own paths. And that is not necessarily your sponsor's path or the AA path or Bill's path. Um, I still can't believe I wasn't around when you went, you know, to the gravesite and all that. That I would have gone with you. My home group wouldn't go with me, but I would have gone with you.
yeah, when was that? Okay, so Founders Day is June 10th, right? So I was at Dr. Bob's house and Dr. Bob's grave on June 10th with a sponsee. We stayed in the dormitories at Akron, Ohio, because that's Akron, Ohio State University, because that's where the Founders Day was, and a huge, I mean, there was thousands of people there. It was big. And then After that, I was on a road trip, and I was on a road trip in the U.S. Right. So then I was like, well, why don't I just go to where Bill was born? And so it must have been July 2018 that I went to Bill's grave, and then I went down to Bill's house, which is, these are all very far apart. Akron, Ohio is where Dr. Bob is, and then Bill was in Vermont where he was born, his grave, and then his house was in New York. So these are very far apart. Yeah, I loved AA. This is like what's so weird and nuanced about it. When I was in AA, I did feel like I loved it. I could not see that I was slowly getting disabled with my self-esteem, with my confidence, with my autonomy, with my agency, with my free will. I knew I was supposed to turn my will and my life over and surrender to a higher power and all of that, but I didn't get how it was eroding my agency and eroding me, and that I was abandoning myself, and that actually I was somebody who was supposed to own my needs, discover my needs, and show up in relationship with my needs, versus having even less needs than when I got there. And so I didn't know I was being harmed by AA when I was in AA. That's like what the catch-22 is. So everyone who says to me that they love AA, I'm like, there's a chance that when you leave, you'll understand it was hurting you, that you can't see that it's toxic now because you don't understand it, because you're not seeing it. Not that I know what anybody else is going to experience, but the truth is that I didn't know I was being harmed by AA when I was in AA and participating in it. I didn't dislike AA. A lot of the dissenters dissent because they didn't like AA and they didn't get sober through AA. I haven't had a drink since I went to AA. I'm in the 2% or the 5% or whatever. But I would never be as arrogant to be in the 1% or the 2% or the 5%, whatever it is, of success rate, meaning go to AA and not drink, people, and say that that's true then for everybody. It works if you work it. That's like being in the 1% of the financial people in America and saying, because I'm a billionaire, everybody can be a billionaire. Well, it's like, well, not exactly. It works if you work it. It's like, well, there's a lot to unpack there. Just because AA worked for me doesn't mean it works for everybody, and it doesn't mean it didn't harm me and disable me. It's not binary, work or not work in my mind. Yes, I stayed abstinent. I have not had a drink since I went to Alcoholics Anonymous. That is still true. But it doesn't mean that I wasn't scarred, traumatized, and that I'm doing work to deconstruct and reconstruct post being fully possessed by a cult religion or by Alcoholics Anonymous for a decade.
Yeah, I think, it's interesting. People who knew us in Alcoholics Anonymous, they have to know that had you and I met and gone to Bill's gravesite together, we would have both cried and had a spiritual experience. That's who we were in that moment. And now in this moment, we're not there. We're not disparaging that. What what I'm trying to say is I've evolved. I've moved on. And now I'm having, I always joke that Alcoholics Anonymous gave me my spiritual awakening. It just happened to be that the dark night of the soul, which happened to me in Alcoholics Anonymous, led me to my spiritual awakening, which happened outside of Alcoholics Anonymous. There's a lot of spirituality to be found in just discovering yourself wherever you are. And if that's inside AA, more power to you. But when we're outside of AA, we can still find that. We can still find ourselves and our spiritual whatever. And I think that the people that we knew in Alcoholics Anonymous wouldn't know what to do with the women we are today. And I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
I would love to understand your evolution post AA. So originally you were Snoopy in the my group, the Deprogram Lounge, right? So you were a cartoon with initials as your name, and now you are your actual name and your actual face. So let me know what happened between when you were showing up as, which is totally fine. If anybody is no shame there. Remember, I didn't say anything online for 5 years, so I'm not saying anybody needs to come out and say anything. But help us understand what helped you transition from a false name, well, initials and a cartoon photo to showing up as your actual name and photo. Walk us through that transformation. What changed in you?
When I left Alcoholics Anonymous, I was still in that programming thought that I was ashamed of myself for leaving. Like, people don't leave Alcoholics Anonymous. If if you leave, it's to go get drunk and die. People don't leave to go find themselves or to have any purpose. There is no purpose. It is to go get drunk or die, or and die, depending on who you ask. And I was scared. There was true fear, and I think you knew there was true fear in me when I left Alcoholics Anonymous. And I don't think that I can disassociate if the fear was of Alcoholics Anonymous and of all the things that I was, I had a sponsor that would tell me that, she had ruined my drinking for me, that I could go back and try to drink, but she had ruined it for me. It'll never be the same because now I have all that AA knowledge, right? And it was kind of that thing of, I had all that AA fear. I had so much fear instilled in me little by little by little. If you drink that first drink, right? It blah blah blah, whatever, whatever. And so I was so riddled in fear and scared to death. And then on top of that, I had the group within the group, right? So the cult within the cult was a very dark, they kind of, there was a lot unsaid that was happening that really affected me in bad ways. And so I was afraid of them. And I was afraid of how that would play out. I mean, this is my community. This is, small town Texas and, well, kind of big towns as well. But yeah, even though I had a home group, there were several other groups around and everyone knew my group. Um, and so it was scary. It was very scary. And the only way to get out of that was to go through it, of course. And so I started with really, going to the ashram really helped a lot because it helped me meditate and really go within. I was not physically well at the time, and I think that had a lot to do with, when you are constantly being told you're not doing it right, that you're not, when the emotional damage had taken its toll physically, mentally, and spiritually. And so I needed to work on those things. Um, and those things helped me not think about AA so much while I was working on getting myself healthy again in all three of those ways. Um, and so I really focused on that. And as I got physically stronger, as I got mentally stronger, as I got spiritually stronger, then I was able to slowly come out from behind, all my protections, the Snoopy picture. But if I recall, I came out from behind the Snoopy picture and then jumped right back behind the bunny picture.
Yeah.
And then I think I decided I'm done with Kirsten's stuff because she is just, there are angry people on this thing. Some people are actually angry. And I'm not angry. I love AA. I'm so grateful and thankful. And hear me out. I am. I'm grateful and thankful for what got me to this point. And now I'm grateful and thankful for what got me out of that. And both are true. And I think a lot of folks have a hard time with that because what do you do with me? What do you do?
And being angry is very understandable when you really start to unpack what you actually experienced and what you went through. It's coming out of denial. It's not digging up the past, it's realizing what happened. And that awakening can feel and be brutal and all of the feels for a lot of us. I was angry. I felt played, duped, conned, embarrassed, humiliated. I was ashamed. I felt guilty that I left. I wasn't going to be there for the newcomer. I felt pissed off when those red flags I painted green were now red again and I could see clearly. I had all of the feelings. It was a huge emotional journey for me. So there's definitely very understandable the people who are angry.
But anger isn't
I
safe,
get it.
right? So for someone like me, being angry isn't safe. I can't be angry because then I'm not a.
AA told us that.
I want to be a loving, good person, right? I want to show compassion. So how can I both show compassion and be angry at what happened? How can I do both? Well, I'm learning.
Yeah.
I'm learning.
You know, what's interesting is that I do not feel angry at all towards AA now. I do not feel angry about what happened in AA or any of that. I mean, I literally left when the pandemic started. So it was like, half a decade ago. I don't feel angry about that at all. And there's no timeline for anybody when they process their stuff. I think that the anger still might be there if you haven't unpacked it and processed it and deconstructed, right? But a lot of people in the comments, what we call on my channel, like the culty commenters, a lot of people in the comments will say, you're obviously so angry, or you sound less angry now, or you sound even more angry in this, or you sound resentful. And I feel like that is all like shadow projection stuff. Like, I mean, I'm not anyone's psychologist here, but it's like because AA says that anger is the dubious luxury of normal men and that resentment is the number one offender, and just the basic dogma around you're not supposed to be angry or you're not supposed to be resentful. You're supposed to inventory and get rid of that stuff. Otherwise, you're going to drink, and to drink is essentially to die, right? So it's like a death threat on those emotions. So people, I feel like, are really repressing their anger and repressing their resentment, or they're hyper critical over themselves and processing it. So then they're calling me it, and I'm like, bro, I'm going to be angry every day and happy every day and all the things every day, because that's what an actual human is. An actual human goes through a fluctuation. And by anger, it might be frustration. Like I realize like something is slower than I wanted it to be. And it's a moment for patience and I have to remember to breathe. So, but I just mean I'm going to be all the feelings all of the time, because that's what being a human is. Maybe not in the extremes, but a lot of people who appear to me to still be inside the ideology project these repressed emotions onto me, and I'm like, I don't feel angry, and even if I was, it's not a big deal. Why are you calling me angry is the bigger question. Why are you hallucinating that you understand what's happening like physically inside my body, which energy is being released that we call emotions? Why are you branding me as something that you're not? You're disowning a part of your humanity, and then you're demonizing me for expressing that part, but I'm not even expressing it. We get all messed up.
You spot it, you got it. And I'm like, no, you got it. And I can see you got it. It's funny. Ironically, you and I, we talk about how much we loved our sponsors. We talk about how much we loved people in AA. And so the idea of, I think it's upsetting to some, triggering to some, that we're not angry or hateful, because then what can they attack, right? And I'm just suggesting maybe don't attack. I don't know. Maybe go pursue what makes you happy as we do the same. I don't know. But I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Permission to trust yourself. I love that. So I now want to explore your evolution, because I've witnessed some of it, right? You went from Snoopy to owning your face and your name, at least in my community, right? And then now you've gone to the point where you actually have asked if you could share your story, like you are doing today. And so that's a huge leap from where I met you it was just 6 months ago that we started corresponding. So now you've gone from being willing to show your name and your face, and now you want to actually be on a video and on the podcast.
Challenge you.
So what's helped you go into that point?
Yeah, and I'm willing to challenge when something doesn't resonate for me, and you and I are able to have a conversation, which is amazing. In Alcoholics Anonymous, we weren't always able to challenge things without being told, you know, whoa, this is not for you to challenge, right? And so the evolution has been small bites. It's been little by little, and everyone's going to do it differently, no doubt. But for me, it's being able to do it in my own way. So it was dipping my toe in a little bit, stepping out. It was, oh, I'm gonna join. No, I'm not. I'm out here. It's, oh, Kirsten's talking about something I like that makes me feel good. Yeah, I'm there for it. And then I was uncomfortable because wow, that was a little bit too direct. That was a little bit, ooh, talking about the possessed ideology. I'm like, ooh, now she's gonna make me. Now I'm gonna have to think about that. I'm gonna get out of this site because now she's really gonna hear from the naysayers, right? And yeah, they do come out from they come out from everywhere, and I'm fascinated that our numbers keep growing. Um, and a lot of it is these folks who want to break down what we're doing and what we're saying, and what they're finding out is they're learning as they stick around, and that's fine too. Learn away, as long as you go after Kirsten and not me, because I'm fragile, I'm delicate. No, every day I get a little stronger, and I understand your question, but I don't think there's an easy answer. It's kind of just happening. I am really on this path of not forcing anything and being more in that place of attracting progress instead of chasing it. And yeah, I think that's got to be really hard for people that have been in my life recently who have seen this evolution, because in the past I would have been the first to call you. I would be the first to show up. I'm going to be the first to, to prove my worth, right? And now I know my worth, and I don't have anything to prove. So I'm just, I'm just here, and I'm loving life, and I'm so grateful, and I live in a lot of gratitude, a lot of appreciation for everything. I'm happier, healthier, I'm stronger. Yes, better. What is that? $6 million man? I can't remember. Stronger, better. Yeah, it's
Harder,
something.
better,
Yeah, something
faster,
like that.
stronger.
Anyway, yeah, and I get to be quirky and weird and all of these things, and yeah, we're still here. It's all okay. We're still here. So yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Just being unapologetically ourselves. And like you said that at one point I was pretty direct, and I find that I'm pretty direct all the time. That's actually my how I process the world and how I communicate myself is, and I've heard that linked to autism, which I've been assessed as, and also it might be even associated with ADHD, and I've been assessed as both. And so if somebody doesn't like me being direct, I'm totally fine with that. Or someone doesn't like me being whatever way that I am. The way that I feel now after deconstructing to the point where I'm at today is that I don't need to apologize for who I am or how I am. I don't need to change myself so that somebody else feels more comfortable or likes me. Of course, I want to be kind if I can, but not compromise myself or my values or my expression. If, some people will say weird things about me in the comments like, you talk too fast, or I don't like your voice, or I don't like that you swear, or I don't like this or that or whatever, or even my tangents on tangents on tangents, which is also just kind of, that might be the ADHD-ish kind of, where boom, I get lost in my tangents and I'm like, what were we even talking about, yo? And so if somebody doesn't like that, that's totally fine. I'm not for everybody, like you said, but I don't need to try to squish my star peg into somebody else's square hole and do it, be in a group think. That's like killing myself. That's betraying myself. And self-betrayal is what led me into alcohol addiction in the first place. And then self-betrayal is what was required of me in AA in order to be accepted, to be loved, to fit in. And now I'm kind of like literally this is how I feel. I was telling my friend this the other day. We go on nature walks all the time. And she also Interestingly enough, I know her from yoga, but she also was in AA for a long time and left AA a long time ago, well before I did. But she's the same. We both are like, I would rather be myself and alone than have to pretend to be somebody else for fake, because if I'm fake, then it's not even a real connection. I would rather just be myself and see, and if nobody else is at the party that is Kirsten, I'm fine with it. I am done like dimming myself down so that I can be hopefully be approved and validated and worthy for others. I know I'm worthy. I don't need to defend myself. There's nothing to defend. I'm fucking weird. I swear. I talk with my hands, as I'm noticing right now. And if you don't like me, okay. I don't like everybody either. I might not even like you. It doesn't matter. Be yourself. If you're
You
woo
like
to the
me.
woo, be woo
I
to the
know you
woo.
like me.
Oh no, I
know,
like you
I know.
specifically. Yeah, we've been vibing, but I just mean in general, like that's the evolution that I've achieved after leaving AA and after leaving a group think, and why I refuse to just go into a group think again. I do not want to. It takes so much more time out here to do what I'm doing now, which is evaluating multiple perspectives before I land on my own with a topic I care about, whether it's autism, addiction, or whatever it is. I just really value critical thinking, being authentic, and I appreciate that about you as well, that you appear to be, to me, in a place where you just want to keep following your intuition and keep doing what feels aligned for you, whether that's coming and going, circling back around, leaving forever, going in and out, staying, whatever it looks like for you, that's your path. And you're trusting your wisdom each step of the way. And that I really respect. It's not easy.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, it's not easy, and I think just having resources and knowing there are other things, there are other places, there are other ways of approaching life, and you don't have to honor the gym membership to AA for a lifetime that you signed up for. You really don't. It's okay. And I love what you said about being able to, you'd rather be alone and be authentic than be in a crowd of people and be inauthentic. And I think that's one of the most valuable lessons AA taught us is that my problem was when I got out of AA, I didn't know that I could fulfill all of what I needed from AA within myself. So that took a little bit of work on my part. But now I'm very clear on that. And the idea of going back into anyone's ideology that does not resonate with my values and my ideals and you know, I I mean it would be wrong not to say that AA gave me some of that vocabulary. The whole idea of knowing my values, when I think of the sponsor that taught me, wow, you should really think about your values. I'm grateful for that. I can say thank you for that. I appreciate that. Um, Life is just messy. It's not all good, it's not all bad, but some things are more dangerous than others. And we need to
Yeah.
know to trust ourselves and to not trust somebody else to make our decisions and our life paths for us.
You bring up a good point, but what it sounded like you were saying is that your sponsor taught you about figuring out your values and aligning with them. The AA didn't teach you that. She happened to be, your relationship was within AA, but that was not AA ideology. I was never taught in AA ideology, nor did I see it anywhere in AA ideology to figure out what my values are and align with them. I was told what my values are. There's principles. It's humility. It's surrender. It's rigorous honesty. I was told Bill Wilson's values essentially from the Oxford group, like religious values, that I was supposed to like be obedient to the ideology, surrender my will and my autonomy and my agency in my life, surrender my will and my life, which just sounds so bananas now. And I also agree and relate that I also learned great things from my sponsor that were nothing to do with AA. She was a
Yeah.
great mentor in a lot of ways. And I know that as a sponsor, I also did that. I've gone very deep in my own journey of like I've spent months at a time traveling through Nepal, staying at monasteries in India, in Thailand and doing all sorts of Vipassana, studying all types of different meditations, going really, really, really deep into how to work with my mind and my emotions because I was so troubled, let's call it, or I had a lot of
Yeah.
work to do. So it really motivated me. And then I started transforming so much that I got very curious and wanted to keep going. And then I started teaching what I was learning with others. Some of that I gave to my sponsees. I taught them what I had learned in these weeks into meditation or whatever, the things that I had learned about how to work with my thoughts and my emotions in a more skillful way. Now that I was their sponsor, but I was teaching them like ancient wisdoms and stuff that had nothing to do with AA. So there is a relationship. I mean, there is a difference between having a sponsor that has good wisdom to share or advice, even life advice maybe, or even harmful, and then also what actually is inherent in AA ideology. So I totally agree that I learned a lot of good stuff from my
Yeah.
sponsor. Not all of it was good,
Right.
but stuff that wasn't related to AA. She was a badass. I picked her for a reason.
Right. Yeah, it's funny. Oh, go ahead.
I'm
Oh, I was just
go
going to
ahead.
say it's funny because, in deprogramming, a lot of times it's misunderstood that if we're deprogramming from Alcoholics Anonymous, then we're throwing out the baby with the bathwater. And so I just keep reiterating there's no baby going with the bathwater. Yeah, I know you're now picturing the flying baby. But no, I'm just saying that there can be some good in everything that we encounter in life. Even in the worst
Mm-hmm.
situation, we can find some good. And and just pointing to what's not good is not saying that what is good was bad. And I feel like that gets
Mm-hmm.
misunderstood. And when I read your culty commenters, read what they say, that's what they're doing. They're saying, "Oh my God, if there's one part in Alcoholics Anonymous that is not good, then you're saying everything is not good." And I don't believe we've ever said that. But I think it's important to point to it and say, uh, maybe you spot it, you got it. Think about it. And yeah, just wanted to put that out there.
The dichotomous thinking is such a cult trait anyways. It's very a cult characteristic. The all or
Oh,
nothing
yeah.
thinking, the that it's either all good or it's all bad. You're either an alcoholic or you're a normie. You're either surrendered or you're in self will and therefore on your way to a relapse and death. Like that all or nothing thinking, that us against them mentality, it's all very like cult like. And I mean, it happens obviously outside of cults too, but I don't even agree with that. Life is so nuanced, as you keep saying. You keep saying it's messy. And for me, I use the word nuanced when I think about it. It's like, it's not all, nothing is all bad. Even the worst in the world, if you can think of the worst person in your mind in the world, they're not all bad. And if you could think of the best person in the world, they're not all good.
Exactly.
That's just not how nature is. That's not what it is. It's all like a spectrum.
I kept saying, why can't I find people that appreciate me and that aren't trying to tell me everything that's wrong with me and that want my company and
Mm-hmm.
enjoy having me around. And they just kept saying, well, Terry, you just need to wait, give it time, maybe go make some more coffee. And boy, that coffee duty, man. Anyway, moving on. Um, it was one of those things where when I left AA and I made my first friend and then my second friend, and it wasn't even effort. It was just all of a sudden, it was somebody, they weren't just reciprocating, they were meeting me where I was at. So I recently met up with one of these new friends that I have. We met up for coffee, and she was across the street, and she's yelling my name, Terry, and she's so happy to see me, and I'm like, oh, I can't remember. I mean, I'm an old woman, and I can't remember the last time somebody had so much joy in their eyes to see
Mm-hmm.
me. And yeah, it was just one of those things where I thought I couldn't find this at Alcoholics Anonymous. Not authentically, not, you know, it was always, well, Terry, you should be here for your alcoholism, not for a social life, right? But yet, we're there for so many reasons. Life is nuanced, it's messy, we're there for a lot of reasons. And I don't know about you, but a lot of my drinking was wrapped around social issues. And a lot of my alcoholism did include ego. And the ego was, I want you to love me, I want you to like me, I want you, it was all those things. And so just to be in a situation now, in a lifestyle now, where I'm just authentically me, where I just show up and somebody's so happy to see me and they just want to hang out and laugh. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. It's what I was looking for and couldn't find. And we don't, I don't drink. Everyone's like, well, why don't you drink? Because I love my spiritual path right now. I love my life. I don't drink because I have better things to do for me. And my partner does drink. Yeah. And that's okay. It does not change the fact that I am so happy with where my life is at, that is just not a choice that I choose to incorporate. Wow. It's like I take personal responsibility for my choice to not drink.
Yeah.
And it's not because I go to AA. And that's huge. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it's super simple. I don't drink because I don't want to.
Fair enough.
No drama, nothing added to it. Now, I don't think it would have been that simple in the beginning. I did need help in the beginning to get sober. And I went to rehab and then I went to AA. If I was back in that position, I would probably need help as well, whether it was a good therapist or some other smart recovery, some other thing. Or ideally, if I could go whisper to my 2009 Kirsten who was getting sober, I'd say, take naltrexone, get the pill, do Sinclair method, see if that works for you. It might. It works for a lot of people. And then it'll be effortless and you'll just gradually not want to drink. And then you'll be in your new life without having to be culted, without having to spend tens of thousands of dollars on rehab, and without having to shun all your friends who were the drinking ones. And, the whole thing, it's like, it's so dramatic what happens to us when we get sober. And what I'll say also is that this is the weird thing that I don't know if people can really get this, especially if they're still in AA. But for me, I used to say that getting sober was the hardest thing I ever did. And my sobriety was what I was the most proud of. Now, that was when I was in AA. Right. And that was true.
Yeah.
That was true. And it's not that that's not true, but now what's more true is leaving AA for me was harder than getting sober.
Yeah.
That's true. Because when I got sober, it was, I had to change, the only thing you have to change is everything. Yeah, I was coerced into changing everything, to moving away from my friendships and certain family members and all of the things, right? Changing careers and all of that. That was all highly encouraged by AA people. Not that that's AA ideology, but that's what happened with me specifically. But when I left AA, there was nobody giving me a pathway out. There was no steps out. There was nobody validating me that even it was okay to leave AA, and that they did, and they're still alive and not institutionalized, jailed, or dead, right? And there was no friends greeting me. There was no love bombing when I left AA. There was no structure for where to go. There was no way to regulate myself, because I did find the meetings to be self-regulating, self-medicating. I did feel oxytocin and serotonin and dopamine from connecting with people, hearing like-minded people share in the meetings, and from engaging in the practices and the rituals within AA. I was having a biochemical experience, which was self-medicating for me. So when I left AA, it was, I felt lost. There was no guidance. There was no validation or verification that it was safe at all. In fact, I thought it wasn't safe and I was going to die, and there was no friends, and there was none of that. So for me, it was 100% more difficult to leave AA than it was to join AA. And I think that's part of what drives my passion to speak about the process of leaving AA, because I almost didn't make it. It's a lot of us have those dark thoughts where we're wondering, Like, did I make a wrong choice? Is life even worth living? That's a scary thought to hold in
Yes.
your head. And so some of the scary thoughts that I went through on my journey of leaving AA, I don't like, I have so much empathy for that. And there aren't enough or many or even more than a handful of voices validating that experience. And so that's what gives me the courage and the passion. It's like, I just wish it existed for me. And so I'm going to be it. Like, I feel that so deeply within myself. Like,
Yeah.
like, fuck that shit. We got culted, we got coerced, we got manipulated, and nobody will even have the balls to, like, say it's okay to trust yourself. Like, I don't want to live in a,
I'm with you.
I'm on a team.
I
I'm
got you.
on one. I don't want to live in a world where that's
Yeah.
okay. Like,
Yeah.
period. Most of us who even get sober in the first place have already been to hell and back. I went to hell and back in my
Yeah.
drinking. So to then do it again in recovery and not even realize it because I'm hypnotized, like, I don't want that for those of us who are recovering from recovery. I want a better world for us. Like, that's where my passion comes from. Like, that's where my soul is at. So I'm okay to be misunderstood. I'm okay to be judged. I'm okay to be shunned. I'm okay to be trolled online. I'm okay for all of that shit because something deeper in me wants the world to be a little bit different, even if it's just one person who hears me in one video. Like, that's
Yeah.
simple. And I don't know. I would rather trust my, let's call it soul, spirit, the energy inside me than my
Yeah.
fear. And it's a daily practice to not let my fear or to let fear rule us and to trust what wants to flow through us or what our intuition says or what the breadcrumbs, as you like to call
Yes.
it, right? Just to follow the breadcrumbs of our soul and just to keep moving in that
Yeah.
direction. Like, so yeah, sorry, I
No,
just get
no.
this podcast was hijacked by my soul. So excuse that coming
I
through if you
have
want to
that
know how I
effect.
really
I
feel.
trigger people to get spiritual. Oh my God. Oh, yeah, no, and I'm so glad, the only thing is I don't want anyone ever thinking, okay, here we go. I don't typically talk about my life before my life, right? My career before. But I will tell you this much. I had weight loss surgery. And I had the old timey one. I had the one from, like, the cut, the big cut where they fillet you and whole 9 yards. And today, I had weight loss surgery back in 1990s. Today, it would be insane for me to suggest to anyone to choose weight loss surgery when you have Zepbound or any of those GLP-1, whatever you call those. It would be insane for me to say, no, 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 no. Go get the full surgery. This is how I look at AA. It would be insane for me to turn to anyone right now and say, no, go to Bill and Bob's little group and really, really read up on that chapter to the wives. Yeah, yeah, that'll hit home. Or, there are so many alternatives that are so much more in line with where we're at today. The smart recovery, I think, is excellent. I think what you were talking about with the naltrexone, I think all of these ideas are something worthy of discussing with a professional who has some insight and some knowledge. And also talking to anyone that you feel will help you on your path. For me, I needed to speak with some woo woo people. And I was glad that you had some woo woo in you. So it all worked out. Oh,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. So it all worked out.
Oh yeah.
And I really wanted to bring that up because I wanted to say we often just send people to Alcoholics Anonymous because we're not realizing that life has moved on. Things have evolved. Not just people, but treatment and help for any experience has gotten better. So maybe check out something that doesn't include the chapter to the wives. I know. That's my favorite chapter. But Yeah, I'm just joking. But honestly, to me, that chapter, along with some other things in AA, just really speaks to the fact that it's time to move on and to
Yeah.
stop hurting people and telling them that this is the only way, because it isn't. And there are possibly other ways that are less invasive, um, into our spiritual realm as well as, yeah.
What a great metaphor and example. Thank you for
Yeah,
sharing that.
yeah. It really kind of struck home when you were sharing your experience, and just really, it means so much to me that you do this and that we're able to reach out to people. I mean, if you got in touch with me, then you can get in touch with a lot of folks out there, because I was scared to death. And now I have some courage. And some of that was borrowed from you for a while there. And I just really, I mean, I would sit there and I would watch your videos and yell at them. And I'm like, no, I agree with that. No, I totally disagree with that. And then you and I would talk, and I would be like, oh God, if I disagree with her, what will happen? And oh my God, what happened was you quieted down, you listened to what I had to say. And I was like, ooh, really? Oh, I didn't realize that was available. Okay, cool. And you were able to allow me to still have my opinion. You had your opinion, and we were still able to communicate. And it's been a beautiful, beautiful thing. I'm so grateful. Yeah. I know. We're gonna cry. It's what we
Yeah.
do.
I have my thoughts and my beliefs, and I'm always evolving, so they're updating, and I only encourage other people to do the same. I love it when people disagree with me, and sometimes when they do and they give me the courtesy of letting me know what they think or how I'm wrong or what they actually think. I love that, by the way, especially when they're not like, abusive about it. Then I get to evolve, because literally all I want to do is evolve. My core belief, woo to the woo, is we're souls inside bodies here to evolve. So anytime I get feedback that my thinking is flawed, I'm like, thank you. I don't care if you're calling me a C along with it, a C word. I
I
actually do
know.
like the C word. But I don't care if you're, like, it's fine with me, because I want to evolve, and I don't want anyone to just believe me. I'm another resource, just like you're a resource for me, Teri, and anybody else who's sharing their truth is a resource. A group thinker is not a resource for me, because it's not an individual. I understand the group, or I'll learn to understand a group think. I am curious about what group thinks are, but once I know them, they're less interesting because it's
Yeah.
predictable, right? So also, side note,
Yay.
tangent alert. You would have loved 2014 Kirsten, who first moved to Bali. I literally wore like a bindi here every day. I had feathers in my hair, and some of them were hot pink and turquoise, and I wore these like Thailand like
I
pants,
would have
puffy
loved it.
pants, like every day. And I was doing tarot card
I
readings every
love it.
day, including for like the Starbucks barista there. And I was learning how to like read through crystal balls and tea leaves. I was like awakening all my chakras. I went deep into the
Don't
woo
make
to the
me pull
woo,
an
all the
oracle
way
card
past the
again.
woo.
Don't make me do it for you.
Totally. I was doing the I Ching every
I love
morning,
it.
I was into all of
Yeah.
it. So I went, that was like my first year in Bali, was like the wooest of the woo.
It's a
Like
cleanse, isn't it? It's just a cleanse. It's like, okay, out with the old, in with the new.
the pendulum.
Whatever.
I don't really do that stuff anymore. It's just not part of my current practice. I don't use tools
Yeah.
anymore. I just tune into myself, and it might be journaling. It might be you say something and my body has a feeling, and I know what that feeling means for me, and so I go with it, or an image comes to my mind and I know to trust it. It's my intuition is more doesn't rely on me doing anything. It's more like me living my life. I will get triggered into knowing this is intuitively it. Like you might say a word, and that one word out of our whole conversation sticks out to me. And that's like my breadcrumb to the next. So I don't sit down and do tarot cards every morning like I used to in 2014, Kirsten. But that all trained me to like kind of feel energy, my own energy, be more in touch with what's happening in my body, which used to be all numb. It took me years in sobriety to thaw out and actually feel my feelings and emotions, and then to not be scared of them. I was terrified of my emotions. So it all was part of my awakening journey. I love my woo-woo era.
I just entered my woo woo area. So, for me, it's sound baths and it's, Reiki. And I
Yes.
just got my Reiki master certificate.
Woohoo!
And yeah, I mean, I'm kind of getting into some biomagnetic stuff. And yeah, so, I'm playing. But the most important thing is I'm meditating and really going within and finding out that there's a lot more out there to life than just serving coffee. Yeah.
I love your serving coffee thing. I love that. Okay, so you have been a student in my deprogram course. What was that course like for you, or what was the most remarkable for you and your own transformation from that
So
course?
when I first took that course, I just wanted to take it in. I just wanted to take it all in. And I really loved the idea that I could go through it in any way I wanted to. It didn't feel controlling, which is the one thing I did not want to
Mm.
feel in that moment. So because it's in little snippets, and that way I could take it in. And if I recall, I even contacted you and said, I need this to be able to print some of this, right? And so I'm like, I want some printable material. And
Mhm.
so I really just soaked it all in the first time. And what really struck home for me was there were like little exercises, little things I could do. And I could go over here and dabble with something as simple as self-care. It was all very self-care, kind of just slowly bringing back my self-esteem that had been gone, and helping me find my voice, because I literally had no voice. There was nothing I could say that in my mind, my programming wasn't saying, Teri, what you say is not important. It's not, of value. And I think a lot of going through the deprogramming course was helping me realize that I do have a voice, because you help me. There's a lot
Mm.
of questions and answers to ask myself. And I'm like, really? I should answer this? Really? And I would answer it, and a lot of times I wouldn't get, it wouldn't be an immediate response or confirmation within. It would be the next day I would go, wow, I'm really glad I answered that question, because I didn't think it was that important. But now in hindsight, I get it. I get where that falls in my
Mm.
deprogramming work. And it's ongoing. And I would love to take it again, because I would love to go back over it and just see what my answers would be today, and to see
Mm.
how I would even respond. Because some of the things I would click on a video and you would be talking, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not ready for that. And then I would click to the next one, right? And I would come back to that maybe 2 weeks later, but I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not that. No. And there are things inside of me that at that time that felt felt protective and loyal, right, to AA. And it was like, oh no, she's touching on a topic that I don't want to touch right now. And I got to choose not to until I was ready. And then I went back. And I found it to be really helpful. And I'm not really sure how to describe the evolution, but I can tell you that I wouldn't be who I am or where I am today had I not participated in that program. And I'm so grateful for it. I don't know how you came up with it. I don't know. I do. Well, actually, I do know, because I know how hard you work. but it has really given clarity to some situations that I didn't even have vocabulary for. It's like I knew that happened to me in AA, but I didn't necessarily know why. And you gave me vocabulary. You gave me words to put to my experience. So then I had those words. I could say, wow, yeah, that didn't feel good when that happened. Or or that was something that I should have questioned at the time. And why didn't I question it? And so these things these things don't just come to us. We're not born equipped to take on programming and to unravel all of this stuff on our own. We're not. And so it's nice to not do it by myself. And I was so resistant. I will add this little bit. I was so resistant to getting into the comments and the group conversations. And I remember when you first started putting out the questions, it would just toss out some question like, how did what was your favorite AA slogan? We'll just go with that. And then to read other people's responses. And I was like, oh, well, I'm not going to respond because my response won't be, anything. It won't be worth it, right? It won't be worthwhile. It's not important. And now you can't keep me from being the first one to respond to almost every question on there. Um, and it's amazing how empowering it is to not only speak my truth, to write my truth. You have not limited how many words I can put out there, so I just go and go and go. And it just feels good. I mean, we joke a lot on the site about freedom. It truly is freedom. It truly, you want to be joyous and free? That's one place to be joyous and free. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, you had asked me if I could put all the workbooks, I believe, into one easy place. And so I organized them and added that to the course where it's all the workbooks for all the different
Yeah.
lessons. And then another student in the course wanted me to do that with the audios, but also they wanted more guided audios in there. They really liked the guided audio experience. You're the one who was like, I love the
Right.
workbooks. And then someone else was like, I love the audios. So then I added at the bottom, here's the playlist of all the audios. And I added more. He was like, I want one on this. I want one on this. I'm like, all right, I can, what, I want to, because I want it to be the best that it can be, right? So, I so appreciate your feedback, and I'm really happy to hear you got so much
Very
out of
much.
it. And yeah, and honestly, like when I left AA, God, it makes me emotional. I felt like there was
There
nothing.
wasn't anything.
I felt like nobody that I respected that was a professional in the space would just say the words, it's safe to leave AA, recovery's not forever, or even God forbid, AA is harmful. Nobody would say that. And I would buy books from like experts in addiction, and I just couldn't find the right literature where it was validating that. Now I know there are books that I wasn't finding them at that time. And so it was COVID, it was 2020, early days pandemic. And so what I did is, and I'm not a therapist, I'm somebody who's obsessed with learning and I love teaching. So I learn and teach, I learn and teach. I've been doing this my whole entire life. Even in grad school, I was a teacher's assistant. I taught statistics because I was a math geek, right? So I love learning and teach and turning around and teaching. And I love like learning things that I get like really excited about and then turning around and helping other people be excited about the learning process too. That's just always been my passion. And since I was a kid, I always felt like I wanted to grow up. I wanted to be a teacher. And I never imagined it like this because it was before the internet was even really a thing, So I didn't know online teacher was going to be a thing. But I just always imagined being like my third grade teacher because I was in third grade when I was like, I want to be a teacher when I'm bigger, right? And now recently I'm like, oh, I am a teacher. I just didn't think it would be like this. But when the pandemic started and I couldn't find validation that it was safe to leave AA, other than my therapist was like, of course, AA is a cult, you can leave. I was like, but nobody else is saying that. Thank God for her. But I took therapy trainings. So, like, therapists in America are required to take something like 30 continuing education credits, 30 hours of training every 3 years to maintain their license, something like that. So 30 hours in 3 years. Well, call it hyper focus or what's a little, in my opinion, derogatory, special interest of autism. I can focus for a long period of time on something. That's how my brain is wired. I went in. So they need to do 30 hours of these therapy trainings in 3 years. I was doing like 50 or 60 hours a week after week after week. I was just 10 hours a day taking every class I could find for therapists and mental health providers, which I'm not one, but on addiction, on anxiety, on recovery, on neurodivergence, on sensory systems, on the brain, on literally everything I can find. Because I was like, where are the people who are in charge of all of this saying that this is bullshit, that AA is not true? And how are they teaching addiction? How are they teaching recovery? So I just immersed myself in it. I went all in on studying all the things. And I just, at the end of it all, I gained a lot of wisdom and I learned, new tricks to regulate myself and stuff, which made me a better teacher and made me more stable. But I just couldn't find anybody who would just really say like modern, like with a modern attitude, like what's actually reality. And I just felt disheartened or disappointed. And I was like, do they not know? Or are they too afraid to say
The
it?
emperor.
And I don't know what the answer is. And
with no clothes,
so I got to the point where I was like, it built in me and I was like, F it. Maybe I'll just say it because I'm so desperate for somebody to say it. And after everything that I studied and learned, I'm like, they're not even training because I went through so many, like hundreds of hours of training for therapists and but they're not even training the therapists in like what I'm learning about through the orange papers and other things about AA and recovery. They're not even training them to understand it. I'm like, God, does nobody know? Or is the whole thing a scam and we're getting scammed by the people who know? And I was like, well, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but I really look forward to when culture shifts and it's more common knowledge that we can trust ourselves, that recovery doesn't have to be forever, and that yeah. Again, there's another one of my ramble bambles. I don't even know how I get on these. Oh, yes, the course. So back to you and the course instead of my passion for there's just nothing like it existed. And I just felt like finally I felt like even though I can't talk about all this and I don't ever want to talk about any of this, I feel like it needs to exist. So why don't I make it? So by the time I made it, I had thought about it for years because I made it 5 years after I left AA. And I couldn't not make up. And I think even in the course, let me know because you've taken the course since I wrote it, right? But even in the videos in the course, I'm explaining what's happening to me. It was like I was possessed by making the course because I'm waking up earlier and earlier. And then I'm like, I woke up at 3 this morning. I can't wait to make this video for you. And I'm teaching all the things. I just couldn't stop myself. It was like a freight train wanted to run through me and I could no longer hold it away. And the course wanted to come.
My fear.
Yes, I did it.
My fear was that here I was, making you my deprogramming sponsor, and now the course and deprogramming was going to be my new cult. And so I was panicked. I was like, "Oh no. I can't do this. I can't do this again." And yet, as you kept talking in the videos and as you kept sharing what your intention was, and it was not to be a cult, it was actually to do anything to avoid being cultish. I remember our first group chat. And I don't know if you remember this, but it was just like we were all talking, and it was like, okay, there are no rules because we're not culty. And I thought that was the best. And we all muddled through. We found a way to hear each other out and to get through it without turning into an AA meeting, because that was my fear, was if you grab a bunch of people who have left AA, put them in a room, are we about to have an AA meeting? What are we about to do? And that was something that you showed us the way. You gave us the opportunity to all come together. But ironically, we didn't turn it into a meeting. We laughed a lot, but we were able to keep it not culty. And I think that is the beauty of the deprogramming, um, what we call that arena, is that it does not have to be a cult. That we all get to to do this in our own way, but I really appreciated all of the lessons, all of the modules, all of the ways that I could go in, print things, and watch videos, and really do it at my own pace. That made all the difference in the world to me. Yeah, so thank you.
I'm really happy
Yeah,
to hear it.
really appreciate it.
I think that is also so relatable. I had a lot of, I mean, trauma is a weird word, but that's probably what it is, like a PTSD like thing with leaving AA, where I didn't want to join any groups. I didn't want to lead any groups. I didn't want to do anything at all that might even feel even remotely at all similar to AA or group like or anything. And I was so scared, and I've worked through a lot of that deprogramming about even being participating in a group, and if I feel safe, or if somebody is trying to make me be a way that I don't feel is right for me or whatever. And so it really does take a lot of courage and deconstruction to actually be able to, I mean, even for me to participate in groups, and to participate in the groups that I'm in, and even to facilitate the groups that I hold inside the community in the Deprogram course or the Deprogram Lounge, right? It's like to even facilitate that, pushed it required me to really deconstruct a lot of my, like, what is a safe group, what is a cult, what is coercive control, how do I want to be. Groups, not all groups are cults, clearly. It, to me, cult is a weird word, right? To me, I just think about control. What is control? Like, is this group controlling? Am I following a mentor who I feel like is telling me what it is and how it is, and I have to be this way, or am I allowed to be myself? And that's how I look at groups now. And that was a huge shift for me, was like feeling safe in a group environment again, because I didn't when I first left AA. I didn't. That was like that trust was gone.
100%. You're right. Yeah, group stuff is it's hard. It's hard at first, but then it's so rewarding when you realize you get to show up and be you, and nobody's trying to change you. And I'm finding it equally as empowering, if not just amazing, that you can find closeness and you can find wonderful groups out there, um, that are not AA related. And there's a whole big world out there. I just want folks to know we put on blinders when we get in AA, and it's just like, we are all AA every day, 24/7, right? And we forget. We forget that the rest of the world's out there, and we're not meant to live with blinders on for the rest of our lives. And it's important that we get out.
Yeah. And as far as like, I think you said something to the effect of, is deprogramming another cult or something like that. I've gotten comments even today on YouTube about deprogramming is either it's the other side of the coin, or it's a cult, or it's anti-AA, or it's bashing AA. There's no value in it, or whatever. The way that I think about deprogramming is the same thing about like any recovery, right? Where, let's say, recovery from a broken leg, which is the example that I always go to in my head, the analogy. Recovery is temporary, but it also might be in phases. Like, I did a lot of recovery from AA the first year I left AA. I read the Orange Papers. I got 6 months of therapy. I did all the therapy training courses I could, so I could make my own mind up about what I thought about addiction and recovery in a way that felt safe for my nervous system, and so I can educate myself. So I did all sorts of training, professional help. I read the Orange Papers, which deconstruct a lot of AA ideology, which is really helpful. If you've never heard of the Orange Papers, just Google Orange Papers.
I think
It's
that's the
super
first thing
liberating.
we all find, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but then I kind of moved
Yeah.
on for years and didn't really think about AA or alcohol or any of it. And I moved on with my life. And then when it started building up in me again, where I need this desire to talk about it, but I was suppressing that because I was afraid to. There's so many reasons to not talk about AA. The anonymity, the feeling like you don't want to ruin it for the newcomer, the guilt, so many different things. But I learned that that was another phase in my own evolution was, no, I actually do feel it's the right thing for me to talk about this. And even though my mentor, even my family members, my friends, people are telling me don't talk about it, something in me was like, you're supposed to talk about it. So even though the world's telling me not to, society's telling me not to, something in me is saying, yes, it's this way. That's my breadcrumb, is this is the way. And I was like, fuck. So I finally do, but I was so scared to talk about AA that first I was like, what if I just talk to my computer about it? And that's when I just hit record and the entire course flew out of me. I just was like, I have to talk about this. This has been bubbling in me for 5 years. And then once the course was done, I was like, but I'm supposed to talk about it on the internet so people can actually hear it. I was like, so then it took me another minute to have that courage, and then I did, and then I was like, okay, and now I look back at who I was when I was scared at the beginning of the year to talk about it at all, and like I'm such a different human from that. And I, at that point, before I made the course and before I started speaking about it online and before I started the group, and I only started the group because I kept getting DMs from people, one person in particular, but a lot of people saying, open up a group. I was like, I don't want a group. I don't want to do any of this. I don't want to make a course. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want anything to do with AA ever. I'm done. I'm good. But something is just happening. I'm like, okay, if I like just actually go with what's here, it's like, this is the way. I'm like, no, not this way. I feel like that's like my life purpose. It's go the way that you don't want to go the most. That's like what it's always been. I don't know if you saw my TED Talk. It's about childhood sexual abuse. And I was never going to talk about this, but everything in me was like, you need to do a TED Talk about childhood sexual abuse. And I was like, no, anything but that. No big stage. No, I don't like public speaking. I'm afraid. I don't want to talk about my childhood. But it was like, this is the path. I'm like, damn it. But isn't it ironic that like, or perfect, that the thing that like I fear the most is what I feel the most called or aligned to do, which means it's my next liberation. And so it's always just like, that's why I look at it as it's just my next evolution. Is this thing that I fear the most is what I'm here to break through, and then I'm free, and then so
Woo-woo.
so
You're
yeah, now on my
leading
tangent.
me.
On my
Yeah.
tangent. Like so, but I thought I was good after 1 year of deprogramming very actively. And I went dormant in my deprogramming for years until 5 years to the day when I started dissenting, right? And so through making the course and through making content for YouTube, it woke me up to more deprogramming, because now doing the videos, I researched the history of AA more thoroughly. I researched ideologies and cults more thoroughly, and I did more research in order to make all the playlists on YouTube and stuff like that. And I'm still doing that. I'm reading all of the critical. Oh, I have this book on my desk. This was the one I just got in the mail yesterday. Can't wait to read this. It's a classic.
Yeah.
True Believer. Yay. But I got all the culty books around here. Oh, this one's really good. Oops.
I do love the book club.
This
Yes.
one.
Oh, I haven't read that one.
About it's all filled with logical fallacies. So there's just so many like things that I want to learn. And so what my whole point of this is, with that passion burst and everything, is that had I not listened to that part of me that said, yes, speak about it, and I was scared, so I made the course first because that felt safer than actually putting it on the internet, was making it for myself. And then I was like, this is half-ass. Really speaking about it is so someone can hear you, not in private
Yes.
with your phone or your laptop, So I was like, okay, the course is great, but nobody, like that was me being scared. It's like writing a letter to yourself, writing, it's like not really like writing a letter and not mailing it. Yeah, it was therapeutic, but you meant to
Right.
communicate. So by actually dissenting, which felt like for me the right next thing to do in my own journey, it's catapulted me into this huge evolution that I didn't even know was available for me. So I feel like now I take that as like, it really humbles me, because I thought I was good with my deprogramming. So when people say the things that like, shouldn't you be done deprogramming, or you're still stuck, or you're angry, or all these things, I'm like, bro, there's more freedom here. I stopped digging for gold when the gold runs out. Like, I'm still finding gold here. Like, it's a gold rush, bitches, in this deprogramming space right now. For me, for my own evolution. That's like the truth bomb. There was a long time that I was working on my phobia of freeway driving, because I didn't drive on a freeway after a panic attack at 70 miles per hour in a car accident. I didn't drive for like 3.5 years on a freeway. So there was a season, an era where it was all about getting back on the freeway. And then I did a big USA road trip, including where I went to Bill Wilson's grave and cried my eyes out. And that was kind of like my FU fear on my freeway phobia, right? Was doing a big road trip where I drive across all these freeways. So there was gold there for me still because I was still moving through fear to freedom. And here in deprogramming now, if I had stopped at 1 year and didn't have the courage to speak, I would have still had all of that AA blocking my head and I wouldn't have known it.
And all the deprogramming, the constant deprogramming, I was like, this is not going to be my life. I'm not going to spend my lifetime now signing up to be an AA deprogrammer. So I threw myself into my hobbies and my interests, and I thought, well, maybe I won't fit in the deprogramming community anymore. And yet I fit in just fine. I find that just because you have found your passion in chasing the deprogramming gold and still pulling things out that are going to help people. It's so going to help people, and I'm so glad that that's your path. And my path is very different, and yet our paths can align and meet up on this deprogramming site and do so much good when we come together. But at the same time, I am not forced to be there. That's where the freedom comes in. I can come and go, and it's okay. And I love that. I love that I don't have to be a cookie cutter um, picture of you or of your site or of anything. That I get to bring, the totality of authentic me, and that's okay. So wow, bravo, good job on your part.
I I love that the totality of you without being in totalitarianism. How do you say that
Totalitarianism,
word?
right? Totalitarianism.
That one, right? You get to be the total of you, the total expression of you without the
Yeah.
authoritarianism, like telling you
Yeah,
what to be.
exactly.
I
Yeah.
love that. What part of what drives me still with the deprogramming stuff is I'm realizing it's well beyond 12 step. It's global. So I'm studying now, for example, how like propaganda and mind control came into the government and how public relations, how it came into economics, politics, advertising, how that all shaped us, and how I guess just mind control in general and propaganda in general. That stuff fascinates me now. So even though I've left AA, understanding that I was essentially brainwashed for a decade and then I'm on the other side of that now, I'm able to like learn and grow in ways that I never would have been interested in if I hadn't have had that
Yeah.
wounding or that experience. So that book on logical fallacies, I didn't know about logical fallacies until my deprogramming journey. But now I'm realizing that it's learning about logical fallacies isn't deprogramming AA. It's becoming a better
Yeah.
thinker. It's becoming wiser and smarter. It's seeing the entire world better. So, sure, I'm still deprogramming, but I'd say a lot more of it is reconstruction or rebuilding or becoming a wiser human. So, even the whole deprogramming thing, I'm like, yes, but developing deeper self trust, that's not really deprogramming at the same time as that is continually evolving, but using the pain of my own life as the springboard or inspiration to what specifically I'm learning as it relates to how I'm evolving.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. That makes sense. Yeah, it's a much bigger pool out there. I think sometimes people want to pigeonhole us into, oh well, the title of um this video is AA blah 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 or deprogramming blah blah blah. So that's all we are. When really there's so much more to us as human beings. And there's so much more behind um just meeting together to deprogram. We're also meeting together to become more authentically ourselves, and that evolves and involves so much more in the universe than than this tiny little snippet of time that we're spending communicating about deprogramming in Alcoholics Anonymous. So I love what you're doing. I think it's fascinating. I personally think that there is so much going on in this world that is people are locked into their group think that they absolutely have forgotten critical thinking. And when you and I have that conversation about critical thinking, I mean, it's just like bing, 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 bing. It's this whole moment of the entire world right now is locked in groupthink, and people have completely given up on thinking for themselves, much less doing it critically. And there is a, what's the word? There's a price to pay when you choose freedom. But I'm the first one to tell you it's so worth it. It is so worth it. Yeah.
I agree with that 100%. I love being able to see what appears to be somebody in groupthink and to not get emotionally swept by it or persuaded by it, and to stay grounded in my truth. And if somebody gives me a very passionate opinion of what they're saying and it sounds like a groupthink, I like to go check out the other side. I'm like, Chesh, but what does the other team say? Whether it's, politics is obviously a hot topic, right? So I like to go dig into, well, what do the people who oppose this view think? Because I don't want to I'm so like not wanting to be locked into one perspective unless I've really thought it through, and that really is what I think, based upon me actually, being
But there aren't
deliberate, I
just two
guess.
perspectives. It's not this group think versus this group
Right,
think.
right.
It's let me think about what you both
Right.
say. And then I don't know, I might have some really odd perspective that nobody else will agree with but me, because based on my own life. Based on my own life, I can
Right.
take a little good here and a little good there and a little bad there and a little bad there and put up with all sorts of stuff and come up with something totally different that nobody else needs to agree with me on, but it makes sense to me, and that's kind of where I'm at.
I love that. And that is such an empowering
It
place to
is.
be.
It is. And I wouldn't have gotten here without you, so thank you. Yeah, really.
Genuinely my pleasure. It's my pleasure. As much as I didn't want to do any of this, I couldn't not do it. It got to the point where I think I said it in our Zoom the other day. Sorry to be kind of random on this topic, and brace yourself, but it's like explosive diarrhea. I had to let it out. I used to say like a volcano exploding, but it was really like a moment came where I was like, ah! I can't stay silent anymore. It's so not okay with me. And I think this is relatable for a lot of us. What is happening is so not okay with me in the world, in my community, in this group, in this ideology, over here, in this whatever, that I have to say something. And I think we can all really relate that there's something that's happening that is so not okay with us that sometimes the burden of just knowing that, or the pain of knowing that you're not saying something when you could and maybe you ought to, overrides your fear and the ostracization that you'll get when you do. It just becomes, you got to do
Yeah,
it,
I think so many of us are being called to
Um,
speak out and to speak up about so many things. And I think when you get the call, you have to answer, because I just live in so much gratitude. How can I sit back and not speak up when I know there's somebody that was like me, that can't speak, that doesn't even have the vocabulary yet, that they haven't found Kirsten yet. And they will. They'll find their Kirsten. They will.
are you still in recovery?
From alcoholism, no. From AA and the emotional damage done to me, yes. Yes, I'm still recovering from the emotional damage of being a member of that group, and of going through what I went through from the group within the group. And yeah, I'm still overcoming that. But no, I am not a recovering alcoholic. Um, I for me, alcoholism was no different than when I was overeating. For me, addiction is addiction is addiction. And as I grow more comfortable with who I am, I'm finding that I'm not needing to run to an addictive behavior to feed the emptiness that was once inside. And now I'm full. Now I'm overflowing with so much, gratitude and self-love and self-understanding and realization that being human's okay. Being imperfect is okay. The past is the past, and we all have one, and none of us is better or worse than the other. And I just want that for everybody. I do. I just I don't want people feeling empty inside and like they don't have a choice but to go to an AA meeting to fill up because you always leave still feeling empty, and that's an awful feeling. Yeah.
It makes me feel like when you say that, like junk food versus nutritious or nourishing food, like you go, but it doesn't really fill you up. It's not really what you need. Because, I mean, I knew that I couldn't really be myself in AA. I had to be AA in AA. If I was going to if I was going to talk the talk, I would have the connection and the attention or the companionship or whatever, right? Meaning, if I'm going to show up and you're a newcomer and take you to coffee and tell you about the book, I'm going to have a connection. If I'm going to get up in a meeting and speak about the ideology, I'm going to have a connection. But if I'm going to be me and not the group think, I'm not going to have it. So in a way, it's like junk food versus like satiating or nourishing food because I didn't actually get to be myself. Like one thing that you would have noticed about me on this video experience here with me is that I quite frequently, and I would have shamed myself about this before, I get very emotional very quickly and very passionate. And I speak like, I just go and go and go and go. And I get like kind of this energy and my hands are going. And I'm like, kind of like, in this experience where I'm super passionate. And then I like recognize whoa, I might be overbearing on this person. And I kind of come back down to the calm. And then I'm like, and what do you think? And I kind of just like throw the ball back like a tennis ball that I was like, I was like volleying by myself in volleyball. Then I'm like, maybe I should throw the ball over there. And that's how my brain
Yeah.
works. That's a part of what I understand when they said autism and ADHD, and I looked deeper. I literally studied it for two years. I studied autism like daily for hours a day for 2 years. I read every scientific paper I could find. I studied every ideology on autism so I wouldn't pick one, right? And I never picked one. But I found my way through it, right? Because I didn't want to pick like I'm an alcoholic or I'm autistic and just stay there and be limited by what I think that means about my limits, right? And no judgment on anybody else. But I've learned that when my nervous system, when I express that way, that's how I've always naturally expressed when I wasn't told how to be. And if somebody doesn't like that about me, they can get off
So,
my YouTube channel or they can not call me
I'm going
back
to
or
interrupt.
whatever. But that's
I'm
how I
going to interrupt
am.
just to say this. I wish Alcoholics Anonymous would have had the grace to allow me to have walked in the room, to have seen you authentically being you, and to have walked up to you and to have gotten to know you and not wanted to change one thing about you because I absolutely love every bit about you. And and
Oh,
I wish somebody would have afforded us that kind of connection. But when I walk into a room in AA, they don't afford us to be authentically ourselves. And I'm so grateful to have that in this moment because I I mean, I don't think anything you said about yourself is anything that I would find offensive or wrong or bad or that I would judge on any level because I think you're awesome. And yeah, I really wanted to say that because I hear you. We just one of the things that happens to us in Alcoholics Anonymous is that we are spending so much time being self-judgmental and just constantly doing inventory and and just
yes.
breaking down whatever's left of our self-esteem and self-love. And it's so that's what I'm talking about when I talk about emotional damage. it's so emotionally damaging. And and yeah, don't go changing for me, girl.
Well, no, I feel like I've embraced my.
Yeah,
Thank you so
yeah.
much, by the way. And thank you for interrupting and leading with heart. I really appreciate that. And it is such a delight and pleasure to be able to be real and authentic with you right here, right now, in this moment. Because in AA, as you were talking and as I was feeling your heart and getting the, just feeling my own emotion, my own heart, I guess, it's like it kind of, and you're talking about like the emotional damage of AA. For me, it's like because I had to shrink into a role. I had to play a role. And as somebody who's neurodivergent, I've played a role most of my life to fit in. And I'm at a place now where I'm like, I just want to let my weird flag fly, and if anybody doesn't like it, they can fuck right off. Because I'm done, and maybe it's perimenopause, doing the hormonal shifts where you just don't give a fuck anymore, because that's the thing too, where I just ran out of fucks to give. And it's like, I just can't. I just can't pretend who you need me to be so that you feel comfortable around me. I don't mean you, Teri, specifically. I mean the world, Alcoholics Anonymous, or fucking anybody. And maybe it's post cult trauma something. Maybe it's perimenopause hormone fluctuation. I am in my 40s. Maybe it's just where I'm at in my evolution, but I just ran out of all the fucks to give. So, yeah, Teri, I AA wasn't all bad and wrong, but I wasn't able to just be me all the time, even when I was connecting so deeply with sponsees. And I had one for about 10 years, almost the whole time I was there. Love her like a sister, like a younger
Yeah.
sister, right? And but I wasn't, even though I was genuine with her and we went to Akron, Ohio together and went to the graves, all that stuff. But like, I was still in a role with her. I wasn't myself. I felt like I had to be, be something for her instead of be myself. And that I think is my favorite part of being out here and deconstructing. Like, honestly, I forgot that we're even on a podcast right now, and I feel like I'm having a heart to heart with a friend. You know what I mean? And I just really
You
appreciate
do
that
have
I don't even have to be in a
no,
role right now
no,
with you,
and it's not
and
parental.
like learning how
It's
to
not
be human.
parental. It's not
Yes.
family constellations happening here. This is real friends. This is okay. That was a woo woo, but it's serious. That whole parental sponsor sponsee, the whole family dynamic. It's not. It's not good. It's not good. It's not healthy for us. And I'm so grateful. I genuinely do care about you and about so many people that are out there hopefully getting something from this moment and realizing, wow, there is real authentic connection out there. And it's not in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous under most circumstances. Yeah.
Yes. Can I say amen, or
Nope.
is that weird?
Amen.
That was what kind of
Hallelujah.
came into my head, and then
Or,
I was like,
so
amen. Can we
I
get
would
an
say
can we
I
get an
would
A
say
woman
Jaya
here?
Sadatma, which Jai Sadatma
Okay.
means it's all about paying tribute to the liberated souls, which I believe that is what we're doing today. So yeah.
Yeah, and there is just, I come back to authenticity as the
Yeah.
medicine. Not having to be anything for anybody else. Be there for people, be a support and be supported, but to not have to, I mean, even that role, it's the hierarchy that I know better and I matter more because I have sober time or because of X, Y, and Z. I'm superior in my thought over you, even though I don't know you and your background and what your thought process is because I'm not in your head. Still, I'm better because I've been
You
here
had a
longer
broken
or
leg before I did, but did you get it fixed? Because that's my question. Because now, in hindsight, you still have a broken leg. So whether it's broken leg for 10 years or a broken leg, for 10 days, I, I'm not convinced, yeah, as easily these days as I once was.
what is the best, because I asked you what was the hardest part of leaving AA. What has been the best part about leaving Alcoholics
Well,
Anonymous?
like I said, it was the dark night of the soul for me. It was one of my lowest points because I didn't leave willingly. I left because I felt that there was no getting around the rejection and the hurt. I could not get past all of the hurdles that were placed before me to find a community that loved and accepted me and wanted me to be a part of their group. And they kept telling me, well, this is AA, come in and claim your seat. Well, I'd come in and claim a seat, and their seats were, 4 rows ahead, and they had all claimed them together. And that was my home group. And people would come sit next to me and say, well, come be a part. You must not have a home group. Come be a part of us. We'd love to have you. And I'm like, no, that's my home group up there. Well, did you tell them you're here? Yeah, that's them. I said hi. Okay. And it was awful. And so the best thing is that now my community, my groups, my soul tribe is what I call them. They're right with me. And I don't have to worry about being included or wanted, or am I wearing the right outfit, or am I saying the right words, am I dimming my light enough? I can show up lit up, and which has a different meaning because I'm just talking about shining your inner light, and I am embraced exactly as I am, who I am, which is very imperfect and not always on point. I'm not the most socially adept human on the planet, but I show up, and I show up with joy, and I am truly happier and more fulfilled, um, spiritually, mentally, and physically healthier. And I do think it takes a toll on your physical health when you're going through so much emotional turmoil. Um, so yeah, I feel grateful. I don't regret going through AA. I feel like AA gave me a lot, gave me a good start, and I'm very grateful for the good and for the well-meaning good things that happened, and for the happy times. There was some good times, and there's some good people, and I don't negate that. Um, and my choice is not a reflection or a judgment of their choices. I do want to make sure that that is said, because my choice is a reflection and statement on what I want and what I expect in my life, which is genuine, true, authentic freedom. And that's what I have now. So, yeah, life is good.
I love that. Yeah, one of the things that I loved most about AA was because I love
Yeah.
world traveling. I always have. And so I've just loved the best part about being in a global cult is you can go anywhere and like have
Oh, yeah,
instant
for sure.
friends. So if I was gonna like go be in Europe for a little bit, go you get instant friends, you could travel with them, South America, Southeast Asia,
Yes.
wherever, like I went to the AA Australian convention in 2010, Founders Day, June 10th, and I had a whole bunch of Australian sober friends. Like I just really loved being able to go and make instant friends. And I say instant friends in air quotes because of course, where are they now? It's not actually friendship, but I really liked feeling like I could go anywhere and bond with people, but what that was actually speaking to was similar to like what alcohol did. Alcohol made me feel like I could connect with the humans better. It did make me connect with the humans better because social differences. And so alcohol made me feel more connected. AA helped me connect too. It gave me a structure and a role and a place and a location for connection and a purpose. I can go up and I know something about AA if you're new, or if you're from here and I'm not, I can ask you about the neighborhood. I can go get coffee or a meal with you. So it helped ease my social connection. But I don't need alcohol or Alcoholics Anonymous to be social. I can actually learn social skills. I have a growth mindset now where I realize that even though I might naturally not be good at some things where I am naturally good at others, with enough practice and skill development, I can actually learn to be better at either socializing or any of the benefits that alcohol or Alcoholics Anonymous was giving me. And they both gave me benefits. I can get those on my own through skill acquisition, through practice, through training my brain up in that specific way. So it's not that I'm,
Yeah,
you know
well,
what I
and it
mean? Like I
wasn't
can
really
develop those things that
connection.
I was
It
getting.
was it you know, that's not connection. Connection is when your heart and my heart speaks to one another. Connection is when I'm scared to death, nervous, sitting on a plane, and I turn to the woman in 3B and start talking to her about heartfelt, real things, and I don't have to watch what I say or cover my tracks to make sure that I'm being AA approved as I'm having a conversation, right? And to me, that fear, that nervousness, that is this person even going to talk to me? Much less, how's this connection going to work? And when I leave it to the divine, so to speak, or source, or the doorknob, then then it's so much better. That's connection. Connection is not walking into a room full of people who say, "Oh, Teri, I'm so happy," and the fake hugs. "I'm so happy to see you," and here's your fake hug. And now let me go, see my real friends. So I don't know. Connection is that's a slippery slope sometimes, but I definitely think you and I have had connection today, and I'm grateful for that. Thank you. Yeah.
For sure. I mean, I said it a little bit ago. I kind of forgot that we're even like recording for other people to watch, and I've just completely dropped into my
Yeah.
heart and you. And I think that also speaks to just who you are, like you lead with heart, and you've been that in my email inbox, you've been that in the Deprogram Lounge, you've been that here today on the podcast, and it only makes me believe that you're probably that in your day-to-day life, and that speaks to your own devotion, who you are naturally, who you've worked to be, the fears that you've faced, the courage that you've embodied, those scary actions that you did anyways to follow the breadcrumbs and trust who you're becoming and the guidance that you're feeling, whether it's from source, angels, butterflies, God, the divine, whatever you feel, the tarot cards, the Reikis. I did the Reiki training as well. So I totally, I'm here for the woo woo, even if it's not something I currently do every day, but I'm here for it.
Love
I
it.
love it. I love all the evolution things and the different eras as they come and they go. And I think what I always think is so important is that we have a right to evolve. In fact, that's what we are. We're here. I believe we're here to evolve, and that evolution just makes sense. Whether it's evolving out of drinking, evolving out of Alcoholics Anonymous, evolving out of whatever phase that we're in, that we always have permission to grow.
Yeah.
Namaste, namaste.
I love it.
Oh my
Don't you
gosh.
cut
Okay.
that part
Well,
out.
thank you
Don't
so
you cut that
much.
part out.
Why
You're
not?
so welcome. I love the namaste. The
What
namaste
what
was what
why not cut the part out? What if it spoke to you? What if it's important?
I think, because I feel like we truly had a wonderful conversation, and I absolutely felt it. I just felt it. And it felt like, it just felt like a moment. Yeah. It was a connection, and I
Hmm.
felt it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
same. Well, thank you so much for sharing your heart, your spirit, your thoughts, your truth. All it is you, from the Snoopy cartoon to the embodied being that you brought
Preach.
today in your glorious presence. And yeah, I appreciate you. And I'm so delighted. I love, you have to understand, as a woman who used to be afraid of almost everything and like had all the phobias and the fears and the anxiety disorders back in the fucking day. Like, I love courage like more than anything. And today I just feel like you are so courageous for being willing to be on the internet, sharing your truth, your face, your voice, your story, owning it, claiming it, and your heart, and just like letting yourself be you for the world to see. To me, it takes tremendous courage, and I don't take that lightly. So I'm so like, it gives me the chills. Yeah, I love witnessing courage. So thank you for your courage today. And thank you for being willing, because we could have just done this on a Zoom and not shared it, but you actually wanted to share it as well. So thank you. I appreciate
Thanks, Kirsten.
you.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today for the Sobriety Bestie podcast. Let us know what you think in the comments. What came up for you? What insights did you have? What awakenings? Let us know what's going on for you, what spoke to you, and share your thoughts below in the comments. I love doing this liberating journey. I love hearing from people who are also on a liberating journey, but perhaps more interesting than any one individual or two is the conversation below in the comments. That's where all the minds can come together, and that's where for me, a lot of the awakening and critical thinking happens, when I see what everybody else thinks. So definitely share your thoughts below in the comments. Thanks again for being here. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.